Hey guys, it's Pat with PK Sim Designs. We're going to go over real quick a couple of the update changes with version 1.1, um, specifically the logging. It's going to be a little bit difficult, maybe, for those who have never seen a log or have ever logged before. Non-real drivers might have a little bit of a learning curve. So I just wanted to kind of make a quick video for people to kind of get a grasp of what it is and really how to kind of use it. Once you get your update through your email and you install your update, it's just like how you installed it for the first time. Um, just go through, double click on the installer, and just let it run its deal. And then once you're in SimHub, you're going to want to come back here. All of your information should be still here. You're going to notice one addition, and it's going to be logging time mode. You're going to have your option of choosing game time or real time. Most users are probably going to use game time. Real time was added specifically mainly for like VTCs or guys maybe they want to log how long they stream or record for, or just are that hardcore and want to try and run out of 70 in real life. It's difficult for sure in real time to try and do it. So real time is obviously going to count real minutes, real hours, whereas game time is going to do ATS. ETS is scaling. It's I think 1 to 19. So for I think every 1 minute, it's 19 minutes in game or something like that. It's pretty quick, but you're gonna want to set it in here. Default is real time, and then once you're done with that, you're obviously gonna save your profile, just like you would setting anything else up. And other than that, that's it. You don't have to configure anything else. So then you can just start and go right to your tablet. So I'll show you what the rest of the changes look like in the tablet. All right, so first thing off the bat, you're going to notice pretty big change on the main menu. I went through and I revamped pretty much every screen. Initially, when I first came up with the whole concept and the idea, there was no plan of ever releasing this publicly. I was doing it because I was bored. I had just finished my sim rig setup and I didn't have anything else to do, so I just wanted to make this and decided to go this route. So, through convincing and everything else, I decided to release it publicly. So the UI and the way that everything was set up was pretty kind of thrown together haphazardly. So I had to clean it up. I hated the way that the main menu looked. I didn't like the icons that I ended up using. I didn't like the color of it. It just didn't seem like it matched. So I decided to go through and revamp everything, change everything to make it look the way that I liked and the way that I felt made it a whole cohesive finished product. So I went through and I changed, as much as I could to make it look better. I condensed a lot of stuff. I shrunk text to make it look more like an actual physical unit versus, more of like an arcade or a tablet in a sense. Like I didn't want it to feel like a toy. I wanted it to actually give you the immersion that you're using a in cab tool versus just a plugin or attachment to your tablet. All right, so once you're on the main menu, you'll notice your changes and stuff like that, and then we're gonna go into your ELD logs, and you're gonna notice a couple of main changes here. For one, before the game, or I'm sorry, before the plugin never actually used to count down anything other than this. So your bar always used to count down your standard 14, but it never actually did anything besides just a counter. So now it actually logs it. So if I were to start driving, this will start counting down. Now the driving is on an automatic timer. It's different if you're on game time versus if you're on real time. Real time, it has a 45-second timer. So once you start driving, it has roughly 45 seconds before it'll kick you on to driving. Whereas with game time, it's almost instantaneous, just because the fact that game time moves so much quicker. If there was any kind of a delay, you would run through a handful of minutes before you'd actually start tracking. And it would be a nightmare for you and trying to log everything. So you've got your status here. So it says I'm on duty for 15 minutes. I have not driven, so I haven't taken anything away from my 11. And on my 70, I have 66 hours and 58 minutes left. So I've got 10 hours and 54 minutes left on my 14. I'm not going to get into DOT laws or DOT rules, but basically in the United States, Canada's different, but you work 14 hours a day. You can drive 11 of those 14 hours, and you can work a total of 70 hours in an 8-day period. Canada is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 70 hours and 7, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm from the United States. I'm a truck driver in the United States, so I'm running United States DOT laws. That's the way this is going to be set up. I do not plan on changing it as far as any other DOT laws. I understand that the game is going to be going into Canada. It's too difficult to try and have multiple DOT laws or regions or time zones or any of that stuff to try and change it. Maybe if the game kind of helps me out with it and they allow it to do something different, then I can kind of use the telemetry from the game to help. But if I have to custom code it like all of this is, we're just gonna run US DOT laws. But you've got your status buttons here, certify, you have your logs and your recap. All of these buttons actually work. If you remember in the version that you guys currently are on now, they do not work. They are blue, but they don't work. I did take out a bunch of buttons that were there. They were just like dummy mock buttons. I took them out to remove any kind of confusion. Your rest break button still works. For game time users, the rest break button will reset your 14. If you hit it several times, it can initiate a 34-hour restart. And I'll talk about all that stuff once we get into the recap portion. But for real-time users, you just have to go off duty. It will not initiate anything. So if I was off duty right now, I would click status and I would go on duty. I can choose sleeper berth or I can go off duty. So if I click off duty, my status changes up here. It'll start counting up technically how many off duty hours I'm on. This doesn't stop. It's not a bug. It's because the fact that logging doesn't exist in ATS. What I'm doing is like it doesn't, the game doesn't know what I'm doing, so it doesn't stop and put me off duty just because of the fact that I clicked it. So there's no way to stop this. The only way to stop this would be to go sleep, and then as soon as you quote unquote wake up, this starts counting down again. So these buttons are strictly for your logging in ELD plus. So it is different. So you just have to be mindful of that. To where these numbers may be different, but it's not a bug. It's not a flaw. There's nothing wrong with ELD plus. There's nothing wrong with your game. It's just what this is doing is not actually the same in game, just because of the fact that it's not meant to do it. Like SCS has never implemented real logging. yes, Truckee does have it. Trucks Books has it, but their logging is so remedial. It's not even funny. It basically just says, okay, you played for X amount of hours. You drove from here to here. You did this, and that's it. Like their logging is not anywhere close to being in depth that a real log has. So I'm gonna go back on duty, and I'll show you the status changes. So here's where you can click on your log. So I was obviously off duty, and then different status changes. And I actually need to adjust this because it's the date is off. But this way, at least you guys will see it before it'll get corrected before you guys get the update. And then if you come over here and click on recap, it'll actually show you your last 8, what you did, everything else. So it says, today technically it's claimed, oh, you know what? It's probably going off a game. My bad. It's not that it's wrong. It's the fact that it's in game. So it's saying that it's April 5th of 2026 in game, even though it's March 26th. So it's logging correctly. It's just it's going off of real time, not off of game time. So if I come back to my logs, which apparently I don't have that. Again, I don't have that stuff wired. Let's see. Yeah, so it says it's 9:30 a.m. on Thursday in game because I have my game open on a different screen. And according to this log, it's actually a little bit off because my 3:26, 5:56 p.m. is my current time. So it might throw you off a little bit. But it's in game is why it's a little bit different. So if I go, so it's for the past 7 minutes that we've been logging. So if I switch my status and we go to sleeper, it should catch up. Oh, it's because I wasn't on. It's because I wasn't on the current log. So yeah, it thinks it's April or in game it's April 5th. So in game it is 9:34, and when I made that status change to sleeper berth, it set my sleeper berth time at 9:30 because it's going to do it in 15-minute increments, just like it would in a real ELD. So it bounced me back to the nearest 15-minute increment, which would have been 9:30. And as you can see, it's starting to grow here, and it's going to start coming across this plane. So yeah, you've got those 3 are your main screens that you're going to use. You got your logs, your recap, and your status. Then you also have your certify button, where if you push this, you may or may not see it on your screen. On my screen, it may or may not flash. But what it actually does is it'll drop a screenshot of the entire log onto your desktop. So everything that you see on this here on the log will actually go to your desktop, and then you can actually compile it to a file and be able to save it or send it to a VTC if you want more realism, however you want to do it. And you can have fun with it, do whatever you want to do with it. You don't have to use it. It's not like you have to turn it in or do anything like that. With a real trucking company, you'd have to turn it in. But with this, you don't have to. So that's the main changes with that. It's not really all that difficult. It's just when you're trying to figure out 34-hour restarts, when to use a 16-hour rule, your 14 to 16, because you've got stuff like your recap where you've got your amount of hours driven, your amount of hours on duty, and then your total. Well, these two don't add up. You don't add your drive time plus your on duty time to equal your total hours worked. Your total hours worked is how much you are on duty for, because you can drive, or I'm sorry, you can be on duty without driving, but you can't drive without being on duty. And as much as that may or may not make sense to somebody, you have to be on duty in order to drive, but you're not going to be driving and not be on duty. So that's why my total hours on duty were 2 hours and 46 minutes yesterday. So it's 2:46. My total minutes right now were 32 minutes. So it's 32 minutes. So yesterday I drove for 27 minutes. It doesn't get put into the total here because it doesn't matter. What the drive time calculation and the total is for DOT. They want to know how long did you drive for, because if this went over 11, they know to nail your nuts to a wall. So then the couple other bigger changes with some of the UI stuff is just, you know, this more simpler stuff of like everything that I have is all wired to the ignition now, to where if you click on anything and you see your screen blank, it's because of the fact that you probably don't have your ignition on. So right now, like, everything's on because I have power to my truck. But if I were to turn my key off, so my truck goes black and it's got my duty status. So nothing stays on to where nothing will show up. So if I turn my truck on, because I was on a different screen, it doesn't go through the splash screen. So the one thing I wanted to show was this, because not a lot of people probably may or may not have seen it, was the I added like a gauge sweep to these gauges. So again, everything's going to get configured properly and whatnot. And I'm glad I made the video, because the fact that I am able to kind of see in real time, like, hey, I need to configure this, or I need to change this. Like, that clock needs to go smaller so that way it fits in its space properly. I just wanted to get this video out so that way I could edit it, put it up on YouTube, release it, and then by the time that goes up, I can send the update to you guys through your emails, and we go from there. The other main thing too is Eric requested real time remaining and this is the real ETA. This is not a in-game ETA, which makes total sense. The fact that he wanted to know how long it was going to take to make a run. You know, not a lot of dashboards, not a lot of things. It's not something ATS calculates. They really don't care about real time, apparently, because it's not built into the telemetry. There are some dashboards out on SimHub. I have seen it in Sim Dashboard dashboards that they do have it included, but SimHub is not something that they even have in the exposed telemetry, so it has to be custom coded, which is basically just a mixture of using their ratio of scaling distance, and then you apply it to real time. So it's not a one-to-one real time thing, but it gets you close. You know, I wouldn't bet my life on a ballistics trajectory that it would hit, but it's going to be close. You know, it's going to be with plus or minus 1 minute, maybe 2, to where this is the time you're going to get there. This is how many minutes are remaining. So if you have something to do and all of a sudden, you know, it's saying it's going to be 2.5 hours to make this run, but you got to be somewhere in an hour. Well, you already know you're not going to have that much time, so at least it helps you out to figure that out. So he asked for that. I put the real ETA in here. I put the real ETA in the navigation screen, and then I also put it in the load screen. So this one's still in game, so that way if you wanted to see it, but this one and this one are real. So I put them in a couple different spots so that way everyone could see them. And then other than that, like obviously this screen still has all the same settings. Because this is the newest screen, I pretty much had left this one alone. Camera view still works the same. Music's the same. You know, your fuel, this one's one of the newer ones. I did add some of the elements, but there's really not much more I can add to this screen. If anyone has any ideas, feel free to throw them at me. Nav, I'll probably change it up. You know, it's not bad. I built it from scratch to kind of like mimic a Garmin, but it's all right. I'm not too like, it's okay. It's really all I can say is it's okay. I could probably make it nicer. If you guys are like, yeah, I don't really like it, you won't hurt my feelings if you'd be like, hey, I don't really like that. Can we go with something different? But give me references. You know, I'm pretty decent at being able to recreate something, to where if someone really likes something out of, you know, a Rand McNally or, you know, whatever. This was out of a Garmin, but you know, I could probably recreate something. So other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, you know, Facebook is probably the Facebook group is probably the best way to be able to interact with me or any of the other people who own ELD Plus. It's the best way to be able to figure out what is going on with it. If you have any problems, I have had a handful of people recently have issues where they had outdated multi-mon configs. A couple of people had issues with graphics drivers, stuff like that, where they are thinking that it's an ELD Plus problem, but it's really not. And it completely turns out to be something on their end that we're able to fix pretty quickly and easily. So I have no problems helping you work it out and diagnosing your issue as long as you communicate with me in a proper manner. Like, don't email me and be like, hey, your program's fucked up. What did you do to it? You know, this thing sucks. You know, something like that. Like, if you come at me correctly and talk to me in a manner of, like, you should talk to me, I'll respect you and help you out, even though it's not necessarily my program's problem. You know, and I'll help you diagnose and figure out your issue and work through it with you. So if you have any issues or questions, Facebook's probably the best way to get a hold of me, just because it's always on in a sense. The support email, I get a lot of spam on there, so I kind of don't pay attention to it a lot. And then Discord's obviously another easy way, but I like the Facebook just because of the fact that other people can see your problem too. Not that they're going to ridicule you, but they might have the same thing. Go, oh yeah. Here's what I did to help, or you know, to fix, and then that can help you. So, yeah, if you guys have any issues or problems, questions, you know, Eric and Al had suggestions, put it out on the Facebook group, and you know, I had them added fairly quickly, and you know, they were great suggestions, and that stuff helps make this product better, honestly. I can't think of everything, and I don't know what you guys want if you guys can't, if you don't tell me. So if there's other things that you guys are thinking or wanting, don't be afraid and don't hesitate to tell me. If it's something that is able to be done very quickly and easily, I can make a patch of it and just ship it out and get it going to you guys. But you know, if I'm in the middle of a major update, maybe I can't get it out as quickly. But I'll tell you that and be like, hey, it's got to come out in, you know, a little bit. Give me time. But you know, I'm pretty good at getting them out quick. So other than that, thanks for watching and see you guys later.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!